I look over and he's sitting in my truck.
And then there's no bushing there, so this was just flapping all over the place. So
these branches have been coming down left, right, and center, but I think they're all down now.
hello everyone. Well, here's the old Husqvarna L65. It was one of my first saws I got there when I got into this saw racket. Anyway, it's in decent shape for the year. Definitely can tell it was well used. I don't know the exact year. You see that? Maybe somebody knows how to read that. Is that a 78? Is that what that is? I think they started making them in like 74 or 5. I'm not sure. Anyways, it's a cool old saw. They're not a high revving saw. They kind of cut in the wood. I think it's around 7,000 RPMs. But they have a huge flywheel, so they don't stop cutting. They just keep going. They're a real torquey saw. Real slow revving, but torquey. I was gonna port this saw and play with it, but I'm not going to now. It's just too, it's just not really a saw that I would use all the time. It's about, I think it's about 16 pounds with this bar and chain. So maybe it's more like 18. It's a heavier saw for sure, but big, huge muffler on it. But yeah, so I think I'm just going to end up cleaning this one up and either trading it or selling it. But not before I take it for a day of cutting. I want to go get a good full cord of wood with it, or quite a bit of wood anyway, just to see what these saws are like. I used it already a bit for ripping boards and that, but I kind of want I want to give it a real good test. So yeah, it's pretty sketchy to use right now, because the anti-vibe mounts are completely gone. Oh, there goes my camera. So I'm going to put maybe some heater hose or something down here. Somebody was suggesting that on one of the forums. I'll see if I can tighten this up. As soon as the handle's tight, then we'll take her out into the bush. Well, there we go. Side cover is off. So you can see what they look like in here. These things were kind of famous for vapor locking, from what I hear, and it certainly happened to me once already. And you can see, like, they're just so closed in. Like on all the newer saws, they're all open here, but these are pretty. There's no place for the heat to go. Once you shut it off, they're fine. They run just fine. They run great actually, but when you shut them off, that heat just collects in there, and then yeah, you get your vapor locking issues. But anyhow, you see that? We gotta fix that somehow, so I'm probably gonna have to custom make a bushing here. I might have something for that. Okay, so the handle goes on like that, so I need a rubber bushing in there. You can see it's worn away, but I'm not restoring it. I'm just trying to get it so I can actually use it for a day. So yeah, so it's pretty sloppy there, and then there's no bushing there, so this was just flapping all over the place. So I found this heater hose, and it fits perfectly over there, and it fits inside this nice and tight. So then what I'll do is, then I need a piece for here, so I'll just cut a little slot in there and I'll wrap it around, and that'll be tight. And then on the other side here, I'm just gonna get a fuel line. I'm gonna put, this is a bushing off my V10, off the front calipers, or one of my old Dodge trucks that I had over the years. I just keep these are, yeah, caliper slider bushings. So I'm going to, it fits just perfectly over this piece right here. I'm gonna put it over top, but I'll have to cut the one end off, and then the other end will sit on the outside on this lip. Oh, not here. Yeah, this should go into here. Oops, sorry. This should go in there perfectly. This will sit on the outside. And then there's a bolt that goes through here because the bushing on the bottom was still good. And then this goes through like that. And then I'll just put another hose, like a fuel line hose, around that to take up that gap. And we should have a saw that's working. There she is. Fits nice and tight. Look at that. Okay, we'll make the top bushing now. Okay, there it is. I just cut it, put a little slit in it there. I'll flip that around. Yeah, it just fits perfect. The clamp goes right over top of it, just perfect. Super tight. Awesome. Okay, well, it's not pretty, but it does work good. It's still got the anti-vibe. Or a little bit of give there, you know. And then, yeah, the bottom's nice and tight. It's definitely going to work fine. It's just not factory, you know. So whoever restores the saw can put new factory bushings in it. It'll work just good like that. Okay, let's get this thing in the wood. Well, I got the Husqvarna L65 here, and I'm gonna get a truckload of wood with it. I never used this saw. I just used like in little bits here and there. But I want to see what it's like for, you know, a full load of wood. Husqvarna sold quite a few of these saws back in the day. They're pretty popular, but this one's a 1974, I believe. Anyway, we'll look at the saw and we'll look at some of the features it has, and then we'll get into some cutting. Okay, I don't know the actual year on this one, but maybe somebody out there will know these numbers. Can you see that? Anyway, they started making them, I believe, in 74. So this one here is side load, fuel, oil. Here's a joke. They got a really big carb on them. Ignition switch. It's actually got a throttle lock, which is nice. They got a great big muffler. Back in those days, they were trying to make saws a lot quieter than the ones before them, where they just went straight out here. So they have this great big, pretty restrictive style muffler. I'm sure if you did a muffler mod on one of these, you could gain some power. Look at that. Must be where it was bought or where it was serviced over the years. Canada here. Now they do kind of like to vapor lock. And I actually put some insulation in behind the cover here, because there was a bunch of holes into where the intake area is. They suck their air right from down in here. Yeah, so I just put there was a bunch of holes there. I put insulation in them just for now, just to stop hot air from coming in there. Okay, we're back. Ran into some kid on the trail. He was quadding, and turns out I know everybody in his family. Small world. Okay, back to the L65. So we're gonna fire this thing up. This thing hasn't been started in probably about a year. We'll see if it fires up here. I'll have to set the camera up. Okay, let's see if she goes. I can need more recoil over here. I don't know how the on and off switch is. I have to give her the mustard. There she goes, folks.
kill it with the choke. Okay, I'm gonna tune it, and then we'll do some cutting. Well, I'm gonna have to take the cover off, and you can see as saws evolved, it came out with some different features. So this one I have to take the cover off, or I can't adjust the carb. So we'll take the cover off here. Just one screw. Well, there's some fuel leaking in there, and there's why the kill switch isn't working. So we'll hook that back up. There's my insulation to keep the heat out of this area. That's just temporary. Worked the saw pretty hard afterwards, and that stuff actually seemed to help, and it seemed to fire up easy. A tree came crashing down, and those trees bowed right over. And there's these limbs keep flying down now that it's windy, but I think they're all down now. Okay, so I got the cover on. It's got a little bit of a fuel leak. They've got some holes there with these little cotter pins in there. I don't know what the heck that's all about. I'll have to get into it when I get back, but it'll work for now. I got the kill switch working, so we'll see how she cuts. Oh, and these things don't have an idle screw. A lot of old saws didn't. They just have the low and the high jet. So that's all you got to work with. So you need them lean enough so they'll idle, but you need them rich enough so they'll have snap and they won't be boggy. But we'll try her the way it is here. Put a longer recoil rope on.
Okay, so despite my chain being razor sharp, this thing would cut just for a little bit and then it would bind up. So we'll get to why that was happening here in a minute.
We're gonna richen her up there. It's a bit lean. The chain is razor sharp, but my rakers are way too high. It doesn't seem to be cutting well. I didn't have a raker gauge to shave them down. I don't know, maybe they're not too high. I don't know what's going on. She's definitely fairly sharp chain here. Okay, I'll be back. I'll richen her up on the top end there. It feels a bit lean.
Okay, so I thought it was the rakers, but then I got looking at the chain, and the corner of the tooth, just a little bit, had been ground off. That was just a spare chain that I had. Somebody gave me, I think, and it obviously it hit a nail or the dirt or something. And I didn't think that little tiny bit would make that much of a huge difference, but it does. So I just learned something there to add to my chain sharpening knowledge there. But yeah, it was just that little bit there, and once I put my glasses on, I could see it. So I tried filing it some more, and I took it out, and the thing still didn't really want to cut right. And then I realized that I had a 50 gauge chain. I'm supposed to have 58 gauge, and I had a 50 in there, so it was cutting crooked, and yeah, so it was kind of, I knew about that, but I just kind of forgot to check it. I had an extra chain there that was good, but it was only 50 gauge. So in the end, I ended up going and buying a brand new Stihl RS chain, and that's when it starts really cutting good.
Well, I'm not getting much work done here. I'm doing more talking than working. I've been here for 4 hours now, and I cut one tree down. Bunch of clowns. One of the guys I used to work with showed up. I look over and he's sitting in my truck, pretending he's tried to steal it on me, but he knows I don't leave my keys in the ignition, not even out here. So yeah, so we just sat down and they were out hiking, having fun. Okay, well, we better get out of here. this, I don't know what's going on here. I thought I did a real nice job on this chain. It's still razor sharp, but it's cutting not really straight. So I think my rakers are, somebody had touched the rakers on this chain before I got to it, and I didn't have a raker gauge, so I'm thinking maybe something's going on there. But we'll do a little more cutting with it. It cuts good halfway through the log, and then it's hard going from there. Try her again.
Well, I richened it up and it was running good at this point, but it just wasn't cutting straight. So I did a few plunge cuts, and that was about it.
Well, the wind died down. Crazy windy there. Branches were still coming down from when I dropped this. That's cool. Just a slow revving, actually a really quiet saw. Pretty neat. Anyways, I can't cut with a chain like that. I don't know what the heck's going on there. I was so proud of that sharpening job, but as you can see, it's not so good. Cool old saw. I just need to fix this chain up. We're going to limb this thing and then split the rest of it up and get out of here. It's a pretty windy, gloomy day. Cool though, cool day. Hands were getting cold. So it's hard to get any work done when you know so many people. Everybody keeps hiking and driving quads by you, and you stop and you BS with them. I'm not too antisocial. I like to chat with people, but that's okay. We'll get this work done. We got a little bit of light left, and you know what? If it gets dark, I don't care. That's why God made headlights, right? So, well, I brought the old Radley. That's what I'll be finishing this job off with, probably. Geez, these branches have been coming down left, right, and center, but I think they're all down now. They're fairly big ones too. They land on your head, you're gonna know it.
For that day, I finished the job with the old Radley, and we continued on, get this tree bucked up. It was getting dark fast.
And the work begins. Getting late in the day, but perfect time for splitting. We'll see how long this takes me to split all that. That's an entire tree at a time. I've never timed it before, but we'll see how long it takes. Pretty dead, so but it is spruce, so there's knots in it. Sometimes a bit harder splitting there, but yeah, it's too bad we didn't get to use the old L65 there a little more. Man, this thing it's really, really cool, this saw. Like, it's, for the price I paid for that, it cuts smooth, it just rips. Like, it's got a really small carburetor on it too. Like, the thing's got so much potential. We're gonna start playing with it. She's definitely more than broken in by now. Well, I've been just at it for a little under 20 minutes, and I got all this done. It's basically just about half the tree. I But it gets harder splitting, of course, when it gets closer to the base. I actually split a bunch over there by the base. That took me quite a while just to get a few chunks split up, but this stuff is splitting super easy. So yeah, probably another 40 minutes we'll have her done. Loaded up. Well, we're not done yet. A couple more quads just rolled by. They just passed on through there. Tune's cranked up. Boy, I sure miss night rides. I'm gonna have to get back into that there. I'm just taking them home with me. I'm not gonna sweat them out here. It's way too windy. There's trees cracking off and coming down. So we're gonna head her home. Well, we're heading out. She's pitch black now. This is all muskeg in the summertime. I wouldn't be going anywhere with this truck. But yeah, it's all frozen right now. It's funny because it's 3 degrees outside, so it's not that. It's that in Fahrenheit for all my US viewers. Come on, what do we got there, folks? US, there we go. 38 Fahrenheit. So yeah, it's not that cold out, but with the wind, holy smokes, it's crazy. You know, earlier on my hands were freezing, and then my buddies showed up, and of course, well, they had some rum with them because they're out hiking, right? You always bring rum when you go hiking. So yeah, but it's definitely, like I said, it's not cold out, but with the wind, it sure changes things fast. Anyway, we're heading home. I didn't split it all, but I got 3/4 of it done there. So I went and bought a brand new Stihl RS chain, full comp, full chisel chain for it. And then I went and I fixed the recoil, put a new recoil rope on this thing. Chain good and sharp. We'll have to go try it out. You can tell this recoil's seen some use, eh? Look at that. Isn't that crazy? Man, they're just bomb-proof, these old saws. Like, they're just awesome. So the rope I have, it's a bit bigger than it should be, I think, just maybe slightly. We'll see if it works. That's sitting in there flat. Look at that, eh? You know, she's been around the block when it looks like that. There, she's all in there. I got as much rope on as I could without it sticking out there too much. It was a little squeaky there, but we got the Bushman's secret weapon. WD-40. If you watch my channel for the chainsaw stuff, you almost for sure know who Butler Outdoors is. That's what he's always got. I think he's got a holster like some people carry around a pistol. He carries around this stuff. Bushman's secret weapon, he says. WD-40. Anyway, it worked really good because this thing was really squeaky before. And I just squirted a bunch of WD-40 in there, and she's as good as new here. Hello everyone. Well, let's try the old GoPro Hero 3 out. I don't think I've posted any videos with this camera yet. I've had it for a while, and it wasn't working for me, and I thought that it needed an SD card, and it was just that my SD card was full. Anyway, look what we got here. Let's climb up here. Brand new Stihl RS chain. So we're gonna try her out. That last chain there was no saving it. So I just went and put a new chain on it. That's a full comp, full chisel chain. So 3/8, 58 gauge. She should cut. kill switch. Battle axe. Geez, that's a pretty cool saw for its time though. That's about a 74, I believe, that one. You know, like, pretty darn good saw for the time. It's not a high rever, it cuts at like 7,000. And, well, she cuts good now though. Amazing what a sharp chain can do. Good chain. Yeah. It's not a an exciting saw to run, you know. It's not like a real hot rod like some of the Pioneers with the reed valves, and they rev higher, they're snappier. That thing's got such a huge flywheel. I was gonna port that saw, and then I thought, it's no use. It's let somebody go out and cut with it that you know, maybe their grandfather or their father had an L65 and they just want to keep it stock, and just so they can go out and experience what, you know, their grandfather or their father would have back in the 70s, early 80s, you know. They're a real reliable saw. Nothing wrong with them at all. Hard to believe after so many years. I mean, you've seen the recoil on that thing. I mean, it's been around the block and it's still just running flawless. I pulled that cylinder off. I don't know if it's been replaced at one time, but it looked like new in there. It's a dual ring, and I forget what the compression was. I think it was around 165 or something, 160. So yeah, so I'm going to, I'm not going to cut much with that. I just wanted to put a new chain on it before I sold it, and then like somebody can literally just go and put gas in it and go. Runs great. Well, there we go. That's my last cut with the L65 before she goes to her new home. And that thing is going to her new home. I sold that too. So we gotta go look for another vehicle. Somebody's over there in the bushes. I think somebody's living over there. They made a hell of a mess of the road coming in. They're probably wondering, who's this guy out cutting at 9 p.m. Okay, that's it for this one. In the next vid, we'll be talking about that little McCulloch again, and what we're doing with the porting on that one. Over and out.